Hey, what's going on, Professor Hall? Hope all is well. With your family at home, and you as well. With the pandemic being at rise right now. But with that being said, it's obvious that I'm choosing the 8 minute video presentation over the 1,000 word paper. I This is not my first test run. I realized that 8 minutes goes by a lot quicker than what you would think when you're talking about something that you're interested in or something that you take a liking to. And so with that being said, I'm just gonna hit my major points. I'm gonna talk about my couple of findings from reading this book and make it short and sweet for you. So first off, my book is it's titled Wooden on Leadership: How to Create a Winning Organization. And Wooden is a guy. His name is John Wooden, and he was a coach at the collegiate level for UCLA men's basketball team, and very successful coach. Very successful coach. Great leader, obviously. And this is his book. He wrote it, and he talked about the fundamental basics of how to be a great leader. And just a background check on him. Wooden won 10 national titles. He won 10 national basketball championships. Seven of them, which were uh, seven of them which were consecutive, which is a record. His 10 national titles is also a record. Um, he won 88 consecutive games in a row, which is a record, and he had four perfect seasons, which is a record as well. Four perfect seasons in which he went undefeated and not losing one game. Uh, he only had one losing season out of his 41 years of coaching, I believe. Yeah, he had 41 coaching years total, and his first season, he had a losing season. That was his only one. Ever since then, it was greatness. It was greatness on greatness. He went above and beyond in how he did things, and he was a very good coach. He was such a good coach. I believe that he said in his book, it it drove him to actually retiring. Him being a great coach, him being a great coach made it where he didn't want to be a part of the game anymore. He didn't want to coach anymore. He said it drove him away, and the reason it drove him away because when you're great, you get a lot of attention, and he was receiving so much attention. He said that it became overwhelming. He said, and I quote, "It was more than unwelcome." He had a whole lot of unwanted attention that he didn't want to, you know, withstand or go through. And it was whether it was the media, press conferences, fans, whatever it may have been, he didn't want it. And it was even times he talked about. He said, for instance, he said he went to a coaching conference and the people asked that he stand outside the room. He said, Can you stand outside the room because we don't want you to steal the attention away from the other coaches that are present in the room." So he said if I were to have dreamt this, I would describe it as a nightmare because I don't. He said I don't want to be away from other coaches because I might steal their shine or I might steal their attention because I'm so great. I don't want to have to deal with this. And he was saying he wanted to be a teacher amongst teachers. He wanted to be a leader amongst other leaders. He didn't want to be looked at as better than somebody else or you can't be here because these other coaches need attention too. He said he didn't like it, so it unfortunately drove him to an early retirement, and it drove him away from the game. But as for what I found in this book that stuck with me, and it stuck out to me with me being a leader myself, uh, Coach Wooden had a very good understanding of what leadership was, and he said the ultimate goal and meaning of leadership was to help others, help others to achieve their own greatness by helping the organization to succeed. And just in a That's just it in a nutshell. That is exactly what leadership is, and that's from being in your class, being in certain classes with Dr. Demps, and even with Dr. Zoe. I discussed leadership with at least three professors, and that is really the goal and meaning of leadership in a nutshell. So he had a very good understanding, even though it may be a little basic. He had a very good understanding of that. He took it upon himself to excel in that subject matter, and which is why he was so great, which is why people bought in, and when people buy in and they truly believe in it, and you get them to really believe that it works, and then you have the proof behind it to show that it works, you're going to be successful. And that's exactly what Coach Winter was, very successful. And my next point, he said he recognized his goal. He knew what his goal was. He knew what he wanted, and what he wanted to achieve. What he wanted to achieve was competitive greatness. And competitive greatness is, as he described it, be at your best when your best is needed. How do you achieve competitive greatness? He had that too. He had a plan to achieve competitive greatness. So number one, he knew what he wanted. Number two, he knew how to get it. And number three, he got it. So his goal was to achieve competitive greatness. His plan to achieve competitive greatness was balance. And there was a few times in this book where he would just say something that would be so simple, like it's not that easy. I'm thinking like in my head, it's not that easy, and I was right. It's not that easy because he goes into depth about those certain things, and he goes into depth about this just being balanced. About just being balanced that will help you achieve competitive greatness. He said the mind, body, and soul and emotions are to all be in balance in order to achieve competitive greatness. And he said he strove for balance, and in his coaching and his leadership, and evidently it was a mission accomplished. So he got his players, and I'm assuming he got his players and his coaches to believe that balance is key in achieving competitive greatness, and that is exactly what he did. And another thing that I realized by reading this book, which is a fantastic read, fantastic read, is he had a formula that he used. It was 10 equals CFU. C plus F plus U equals 10. And the 10 is pertaining to his 10 national championships. And the CFU stands for conditioning, fundamentals, and unity. So when you add those three things up, you get 10 national championships, or in other words, success. You get success. And like I was saying before, what I realized in reading this book is that this book of leadership is not just is very diverse. It's not a book of leadership that pertains only to basketball or pertains only to sports. It pertains to any line of work that any leader wants to wants to be in. Any leader can use this book to their advantage to be successful in whatever line of work they're in, or um, 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 whatever place that they whatever organization that they're in. They can use this book to their advantage to make success happen. This is a very diverse book when it talks about leadership. It's not just leadership for just one thing. So that's my presentation. That's what I got out of this book. There's so much more that I wanted to talk about, but with it being a time limit, and I don't have the most storage on my phone. Um, it was good to wrap it up this way, and I really enjoyed this book. I highly recommend it, and it was definitely good for me with me being a leader myself. So that's it, and hope you are being safe and staying inside, and hopefully this thing passes over soon. Thank you.